Are you ready? Go!
You know, sometimes in life like me, you get stuck in some shit. But you gotta make some decisions, dog. Are you gonna fight? Are you gonna run? You gonna abandon ship? Like, what are you gonna do? When you got snakes in your path, fuck is you gonna do, bro? Somebody like me gonna jump, I'll tell you that. But that's really what this video is about, you know? Going over some of the problems of life and how we choose to respond to it. Also with covering 2 songs along the way. Saturn by SZA and Back to Life by Karen Wheeler from Soul II Soul. I think these 2 songs fit really well into the themes of the video and also help us navigate these issues in a healthy manner. I hope you guys enjoy the video and, you know, give me a thumbs up, or is it a like, whatever it's called on this website. Thank you. You know, there comes a time in life where, whether it be because of its shittier qualities or just because things are not fair, you know, life is unfair. You might be tired of being stuck in your own head. Like I said, things just get really shitty. It's tempting to want to escape from your situation and either end it all or fly off to some false heaven, which could be drugs or like literally abandoning everything. Like, you know, honey, I'm going off to get some milk, never coming back. Whatever it might be, music helps us cope with the world through simulating these experiences in a safe manner. You know, like, you don't really have to toss yourself off of a cliff to experience the release of hearing another person express the very same desire to jump. And sometimes just knowing that there are others who feel the same way is enough to quench that weirdly put thirst in and of itself. It's enough to set you on the path to healing once you know that you're not alone in something. Today we're going to cover 2 songs that tackle these issues from different angles. And by these issues, I just mean, how do you handle a hard life and what is your response to it and how you can manage it. Enter SZA's world with Saturn. A beautiful song, honestly, where she navigates the depths of her personal troubles that she has in the world today. Her introspective journey unfolds, going one by one through shortcomings of her life, and while living on Saturn might be for the best, Saturn isn't just a song, it's the echo of a reality that many of us feel, you know, at one point or another. That's why I felt compelled to respond to the song with a more positive spin on things. Not that there's anything wrong with the song in of itself, but rather that I think sometimes songs that tackle these issues should have like an add-on, you know, a DLC. In the song, she addresses several main problems or existential dilemmas she faces in life. I brought them down to about 6 so that we can tackle them together. Number 1 is the sense of discontentment. SZA expresses dissatisfaction with her reality. God dang it. Well, I'm gonna just wait. SZA expresses dissatisfaction with her reality, suggesting that life feels inadequate or unfulfilling, you know, and the lines, "This can't be life." She questions the purpose and meaning of experiences like losing love and enduring pain, feeling trapped in a cycle of repetition and monotony. Like, if there's a point to losing love, repeating pain, it's all the same. We go to number 2. Searching for something more. And throughout the song, there's a longing for peace. She wants a different life, possibly another universe or on Saturn, like literally. And it stands to represent a place of escape or transcendence, where life might be better, you know, like the line literally, life's better on Saturn. This yearning suggests a deep desire for change and a break from the current pattern of existence. Like she states online, you know, literally, got to break this pattern, bro. Like it's right there. I decided to separate this from discontentment because the 2 don't always go hand in hand. Sometimes you might feel discontent, but you don't feel motivated enough to do anything about it. You just wallow where you're at. Or instead, you know, you might actively seek a goal that seems to provide a release from the pain of yesterday. But here instead, she actively seeks a goal. For number 3, it struggles with mental health and self-doubt, and shit, I ain't no stranger to that. SZA addresses internal struggles such as intrusive thoughts and the feeling of being paralyzed by them. She questions the promise of happiness or peace that is often associated with spiritual or moral goodness. Before I'll say cynicism towards idealistic concepts, there's just an undertone towards things like paradise or nirvana, suggesting that these ideals are not as attainable or fulfilling as they're advertised to be. Like we're fools for trying to aim for those. She just wants an escape, which I think is, funny or interesting, because that escape, even when we give up a notion of heaven, and let's say, it's like trying to find release in the next thing. You don't believe in heaven, but you're trying to find heaven in the material realm. And I think that's a funny way of you're trying to escape something, but finding your way to it through the other avenue. For 5, I'd say it's frustration with injustice and unfairness. She expresses this towards the perceived injustice in life, questions why good deeds or morality don't always lead to positive outcomes. And I've definitely heard that a bunch of times from countless people. And there's 6, the desire for escape and salvation. It goes along with the desire for something more, but that more that she seeks specifically is a sense of peace.
It's basically the equivalent of waiting for Superman to come and get you, or just hoping God just teleports you up somewhere else. And it's nothing to really make fun of, because I know every single one of us have had a moment where we just needed things to be a little bit easier. It's not because we're weak or anything else, but just like, damn, bro, give me a break, dog. Like, fuck.
In summary, Saturn by SZA dives into themes of disillusionment, existential questioning. I said that why does my fucking accent comes out in the worst moments? Either way, like I said, themes of disillusionment, existential questioning, mental health struggles, and the quest for a more meaningful and fulfilling existence. I think it's important to tackle these individual issues that we all face at some point or another, to provide meaningful answers for those stuck in those circumstances. I guess this would be the kind of advice section. Not to, act like, oh, I don't deal with anything and yada yada, no. Rather, these are things that I actively use to help myself. They came to mind when I was listening to the song. With 1, responding to the sense of discontentment. It's a hard beast to quell, but one quelled through application, appreciation, and gratitude. Like, by all means, if your life needs to be fixed, fix it. If it sucks, moan and groan. It's cool, bro. It's cool. But along the way, make sure to count every blessing and kiss the hand of those that have fed you. It helps to reflect on what's gone on, in your life, what's gone right, what's gone wrong, in order to help balance out the sorrows. Because if you just focus on everything that's gone wrong, the weight is just too much. The way that you balance it, honestly, is by sitting back and thinking like, hey, what about that time I was thirsty and the stranger gave me something to drink? What about the time somebody held the door open for me? And it might seem cheesy or stupid, but literally, life hasn't been all bad for you. Has every moment been horrible for you? Have you always met that person that you hate, and every time you've met someone, they've treated you badly? Or is it just that those bad moments stand out, and it's harder to ignore that? I'd say think about that, In response to 2, the search for something more. If you're searching for something more, there's nothing wrong with it, first of all. Take up whatever creative endeavor that pulls you, go where your heart takes you. And if you can't, find the next best thing. Often that something more that we're looking for is something inside, of us, that needs to be found, and not an external experience or object that, act as a conduit for this, I found it. Yes. It's not always something outside of us, but it's a journey that we can take in our own selves. So if you ever get the urge to like completely abandon your life and search for something more, maybe search within first, and it might save you a trip or two. You might realize you have everything you need where you're at. Now again, if they beat in your ass, or if your life is in danger, get the fuck out of it, But moving on. My favorite 3 struggles with mental health and self-doubt. Bro, intrusive thoughts are no joke. I deal with them every day. I struggle on a daily basis. It sucks, honestly. Sometimes it feels like there's no break. They say the worst things you can imagine. They'll make you feel like you're unable to trust yourself or those around you if allowed to roam free through your mind. But I would say that you gotta find things to ground yourself amongst the storm. Such as a thought that often helps me. I am who I choose to be, not what my mind tells me to be or do. Like, I have the ultimate power. Or if it's in regards to an outside situation, then I counter the negative thoughts with some positive ones, or sometimes do nothing at all. What I mean is, you can always be like, no, that's not gonna happen. No, that's not gonna happen. No, but that gets tiring. Sometimes if you just ignore it, you realize it's just a voice. Like, just because your mind tells you something's gonna go bad, if you just wait and see, how many times does it actually go as bad as you pictured it? Not many times. You do not have to take every thought that comes to your mind seriously. And try to keep an eye on your mental health, like, I know not everyone can afford it or has health insurance, but therapy is a great tool that I don't think anyone should shy from if they feel like it'll help them. I know it helped me at the time. And if you can't afford a therapist, I would say, outside of talking to people, because I feel like that's an obvious answer or whatever, try writing down your problems. Like, seriously, take a pen and some paper, or if you can't, because sometimes people have wrist issues or whatever, type. I think writing is better though. But try writing out what you feel, and it helps you reflect. Forgot where I read this, but I remember seeing that writing triggers the same areas as having a conversation when problem solving, because thinking is not as clean as we might expect it to be. It's a little messy, your thoughts aren't always in direct sentences. They're just more like little blurbs that come out. So when you're writing something, it helps you reflect just as if you were talking with someone else. And as you write, you work out the situation that is the current focus. Now, in response to number 4, this feeds into the other issues. Because if you lose the ability to see a positive outcome, then it really becomes impossible to produce or work for one. Like, why do you feel that heaven is so unattainable, yet hell is always within an arm's reach? How does that thought process reflect on your soul over time, or your psyche? Imagine the wear and tear of such a thing. And an ability to believe in a paradise trickles down into overlooking the beauty of life in lieu of its horrors, which prime you for accepting that all there is hell, triggering the instinct to flee from the problems of life instead of working to fix them. With 5, the line, if there's a point to being good, then where's my reward? It's a line repeated by a lot of people. Me, at some points when I've been angry, looking up at God, But it also has a beautiful response, though. If you were doing good for a reward, you weren't doing good to begin with. Because to do good is to do good despite whatever outcome may come. Because you're doing good for goodness' sake. Evil often seeks to satisfy its own self, and that frustration with doing good in a bad world, although completely reasonable, is a sign that maybe those good actions you were doing were not coming from the purest places. It's important to recognize that, in short, should you need a reward to feed those in need, or, whatever the quote unquote good action is, or should you just do it? With 6, it's important to find healthy ways to cope with stress and create moments of joy and just times where you can relax. Often, when the need to escape from the world presents itself, it really means that you need to find new ways of engaging with the world in ways that are meaningful to you. Instead of running from the world, take it by the horns and fight with it for a better outcome. It might sound silly, but a regular self-care routine such as taking walks in nature, listening to music, practicing hobbies, they help you a lot. If you have a family, friends, spend time with them. And if you don't, try to find places that people meet for common goals like painting classes or the gym, or try to meet new people. Life has to be lived. But maybe my words are not enough, and really these are more questions than anything. It's not like I'm solving anything for you, but I know that something that got me to reflect was listening to Back to Life while I was writing this song, and it just clicked like, wow, like this is a response. It felt like something had been laid in the universe before this song was written that was already made as an answer. Back to life. No, that's bad. Let me not do that. I'll just let the song play. Tell me though, bro. Let's say we do get to Saturn. Then what? You might not be able to stay there for long if you got unfinished business outside or in your head. Shit, Earth could be heaven. It's just we fuck it up. A lot of the problem is in us. So yeah, you leave to somewhere peaceful, but you run the risk of your problems following you. And if they're gonna follow you, then you might as well have solved it where you was at. There's another artist. Let me not even try to write it like I didn't already introduce her. It's written by Karen Wheeler, and it recounts a time that she got to a Saturn of her own, for heaven. In a 2010 documentary by Wayne Gomillion, Karen goes over the time in which she added lyrics to the chords her bandmate Simon had already come up with on the piano. These words, she said, were pulled from her spiritual side, which she believes all artists tap into. And the journey she later goes on to describe is in and of itself spiritual. I use that goddamn word a lot, or phrase in and of itself, but spiritual. Back to Life comes from her own pain, pulling from a time where she nearly died and went to a place that was so wonderful, as she put it. Unfortunately, that didn't last long, as Karen was catapulted back to life. Something that pissed her off, bro. Like, I'd be pissed too. She wanted to stay in paradise and angrily responded to her creator, "What am I here for?" While anger was what initially gave those words life, they later evolved into a question that inspired hope and direction, cutting through her own sorrows and asking what is it that she can do to show up to life once more, or rather, what we can do. She came to an answer later on. She said,
He died and literally came back to life, and I was mad because where I'd gone in between that was so wonderful. It was so wonderful, but I basically didn't pass over at that point. And so I wrote about being back to life, and I was mad. I was like, why do you want me here? However do you want me? What do you need from me? I was talking to my creator, but it sounds like a party song on the record because of the way we put it together. No one would know it came from pain and suffering on my part, but I guess the creator wanted me to go through something like that so that I could tell the story in a way that people could enjoy it and keep it around forever.
Like the conclusions that Miss Wheeler came to. Sometimes the antidote to living your life well is not in asking what life can provide for you, but rather what you can do for life. Or God. If you believe in God. But if you don't, life is enough. The people around you is enough. Enough to get you started on the path of healing. Our focus has been a bit self-centered, honestly. And with good reason. It's perfectly understandable, But in asking how can we best show up for those around us, we become the good in the world that we've been asking for. Even in the worst of cases like a survivor of rape or long-term abuse, your comeback story can serve as an inspiration for many other people like you who may be lost and unable to relate to others who haven't lived their story. You can be the light.
By addressing each of these issues with proactive and positive actions, we can gradually improve our outlook and overall well-being. Like, it's important to recognize that personal growth and overcoming challenges take time, patience, and consistent effort. It's a journey we're all on together too. Like, don't ever feel like you're alone. I just wanted to share some of the things that helped me, and I'm thankful for you guys for even sticking around this long. Thank you to SZA, Karen Wheeler, and the rest of Soul to Soul for giving a voice to such powerful emotions for us to be able to dissect in the first place. And thank you guys for listening. I love you. Let's us out.